Live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, Oldsmobile presents the Winston. This is NASCAR's Race of All-Stars, a race designed only for winners. 19 of the qualifying positions are already determined by men who have most recently won in Winston Cup racing. This man, Dale Jarrett, number 21, could be the 20th and final qualifier. We are in the closing laps, the final third of the Winston Open. It is the final race that sets the stage for the Winston itself. Well, you can bet that all of the competitors in the Winston itself are keeping track of tire wear during the run of the Winston Open. You can see that the lead is beginning to close down now, but for the moment, it is still Dale Jarrett that is out in front. Of the Winston Open, the final moments of qualification for the running of the Winston, and at the end of the Winston itself, the prize is $200,000. It makes for one very rich afternoon in racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, we take a look back at the front of the field as we see Ernie Irvan move to the inside and challenge Dale Jarrett. Irvan on the inside now. Irvan trying to get into the final run here. They're side by side as they head through the second turn now, moving for the backstretch. Benny Parsons, we're watching one whale of a race here. This is a fight now for the lead between three cars as Ernie Irvan pushes ahead.
Paul, it's been this way all day, up and down. Now Dale Jarrett has the lead, Ernie Irvan has the lead. Who's going to have that last chance for the $200,000? Look at this race.
And Sterling Marlin has been coming up there pretty often also. He's red hot today, and of course, being a past winner of this race, getting into the Winston that way, it's old hat for him.
As the fight continues at the front of the field, a whale of a battle, 134 laps scheduled, 93 complete. Dick Trickle in the 66 car closes in fourth place. Marlin continues to watch. Irvan moves to the outside, puts his nose in front of Jarrett.
He has the spot. He has taken the spot away. Now here comes Sterling Marlin, and look, Trickle, three abreast coming off turn 4.
Can they hold on as they come down toward the start-finish line? Trickle noses ahead now of Marlin. He's side by side with Jarrett.
A lot of the handling right now is going to be determined by who put what tires on where the last pit stop, and that's making the cars handle just a little bit differently right now, Paul.
Bobby Unser watching here along with Benny Parsons. Benny, this kind of racing may give you an idea just how important this day is.
Well, that's right, because these fellas is trying to become one of 20 great race cars and great race car drivers.
And just think, 1 in 20. Benny, it doesn't look like much of a chance right there, but somebody's going to make it, and it's sure getting crowded in the front end.
So now Dick Trickle forces his way down under Dale Jarrett. Remember, Ernie Irvan sits out just in front of this.
And this blue car,
Moroso comes up as well in the 20 car.
Yes, he qualified fourth. He's been running well all day. Looks like he's been laying back, waiting for this moment.
Now, this group is going to slow each other down just a little bit. Benny, don't you agree? Because they're not running in single file, so the whole group slows down just a little bit.
Oh, Ernie Irvan is loving this because he's driving away from this group while they're trying to figure out who's second.
Well, they're leaning back and forth on each other. You see just a glimpse of Ernie Irvan in that yellow number 4 as he streaks away from this four-way battle from second place as they run side by side here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Winston Open, the last chance to get into the Winston itself and a run for $200,000. Well, it's a beautiful facility, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the best equipped in the world. That's the tower just behind the main grandstand. Executive offices in there, and then in the main grandstand itself, how'd you like to be a member of the Speedway Club, where you can dine fine cuisine and watch the race itself? It overlooks the start-finish line. We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway now with just 6 laps to go, and as they flash across the line, 5 to go in the Winston Open, the final qualifier for the running of the Winston itself. You can see Dick Trickle in the 66 car is still out in front, but right behind him is Rob Moroso, and Moroso's been set up in a pretty good attack position.
All of a sudden, Dick Trickle is having a lot of problems getting off turn 4. He's going in turn 3 now.
All right, Dick Trickle out in front. Most interested owner on this car. He's right now with Gary Gerald.
One of the great names of the sport, former champion Cale Yarborough. Cale, are you happy with the setup? Do you have enough muscle to hold off the kid Moroso?
Well, we sure hope so. Of course, you know, it's not over till it's over, but Dick Trickle is doing an excellent job, and I'll tell you one thing, this car owner business is the most nerve-wracking thing I ever did. I'd rather be out there racing.
You heard it from a man who's put in many miles at this racetrack. He's had his share of wins. He's a nervous wreck, Paul.
Ton of victories, but he's yet to win a race as a car owner. Will this be the day? The 66 car. Trickle is looking great.
Well, I'll guarantee you that Cale Yarborough used to be an awful good race driver. Now, what's at stake here is really important, Paul, especially for Rob Moroso. Dick Trickle has won a lot of races, but if that Moroso could win this race today, he's going to be the new bright shining star.
And get a chance to get in the Winston and win $200,000.
Well, this isn't too shaggy to win this one as Moroso closes up on Trickle. $30,000 to the winner here, plus the smallest part of the purse paid in the Winston itself is $18,000. So just by winning this, you're guaranteed $48,000. Dick Trickle starting to count that now with 2 laps to go as he flashes across the line. Moroso right there and watching. Who has the better position, Benny Parsons?
Well, Trickle has the best position, but Rob Moroso has closed up. A Trickle a few laps ago had a 15-car length advantage. It's nothing now.
On the backstretch, Trickle still out in front.
Now, Trickle's going to use all the racetrack he can use. He certainly doesn't care how old or how young Moroso is, but look at Moroso coming right underneath him. That's off of turn 4, right in the same place.
Moroso moves to the inside now, challenges Trickle as they come to the white flag. They flash across the line with Moroso just a nose ahead of Trickle. Trickle now pulls ahead through turn 1 and 2 as he takes the high line. Down the backstretch for the final time. A drag race now between Moroso and Trickle. Ernie Irvan closes up right behind. Marlin rides in 4th place. Moroso pushes his nose ahead.
Unbelievable.
Boy, for the last lap, that's a close one.
There's Ernie Irvan sitting right up behind him. Moroso and Trickle. Trickle comes just a bit ahead. And at the line, they're neck and neck, but it looked like Trickle to me.
Looked like Moroso to me.
It looked like Trickle to me by 6 inches.
They think he won. That's the Trickle crew.
What a great finish. As they came to the line, Dick Trickle appeared to put just a few inches ahead of Moroso. Tell me this is an important run. Look how happy they are.
Fabulous race, Paul.
So Dick Trickle, unofficially for the moment, will move in to the Winston as the 20th qualifier. That 2-segment race that pays $200,000, and this a $1 million day here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Boy, what if the Winston itself is as good as this, we've got a great afternoon in store for you.
I won't be able to stand it, Paul. I mean, what a great automobile race.
Darrell Waltrip sits ready. Crews making the final adjustments to each of the cars and drivers. The netting being replaced, that protective netting back into the window on the left side of the car.
We've showed what happened last year already 2 or 3 times, but that isn't going through the driver's mind now, Paul. They're thinking about this year and what they have to do to get to the front. Ollie, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, that's their thoughts now. What have we got to do to get to the front and stay there?
Little smile on Dale Earnhardt's face. Bobby, you were talking about the tactics in this first run.
Yes, and, you know, I was just going to make a mention that they all look like they're really casual and laid back and relaxed, but inside their stomachs, the butterflies are flying. This is a big race, and it's not just the money. Hey, it's the notoriety, it's the publicity, it's the television. It makes this race extremely important.
Who would want to run 20th? There's only 20 cars here, and who wants to go home and say, I finished dead last? No one.
Remember, if a guy doesn't finish in the top 10 in this 50-lapper, Benny, he's really not going to have much of a chance in the next one coming up.
Another aspect of this event is that there are no points at stake here, and that loosens things up a bit too, Benny.
They can go for it because they always use that excuse, well, I took it easy because I wanted a good finish for the points. Can't use that excuse here.
Derek Cope, the Daytona winner.
Yes, and you know, he's really looking. He's not had such a good year since the Daytona win, Paul. He's really looking for a good ride here. In fact, if you look at a lot of cars in the race today, this race means more to them than a lot of the other races they could be running. Probably rates about first on their list today.
Well, I'll tell you what, it does generate excitement. All through the garage area, the atmosphere was just electric with excitement both yesterday and today. And the unique qualifying format added to the most unusual race that they've created here really gets the fans pumped up. Harry Gant, the oldest man in the field.
And another thing to remember is they won't be having any pit stops here unless there's something wrong. or if somebody has to come in the pits, either under the green or the yellow, they're going to be in trouble.
The 5 car, Ricky Rudd, he sits waiting as the engines come up to temperature, and in just a few moments, they will signal this field away. Bobby Hillen's car. All of these men have qualified for this race with a victory. No losers here, a winner, every last one of them.
Isn't it interesting the different types of helmets that the different drivers use in NASCAR today? Benny, they used to all use short helmets. Now they've got motocross helmets to open face helmets to what we call Indy helmets, every type imaginable.
Jeff Bodine was showing his new helmet off the other day, and he was talking about aerodynamics inside the car.
All the way back now in the 10th and final row, there's Jeff Bodine. He's set to go to the front. Boy, you tell me they don't love this thing? And, of course, Dick Trickle starts in the 20th and final position, the outside of the last row. As the field now begins to roll away, we take a look back from a camera mounted on board the pace car. Davey Allison over there to the left. Dale Earnhardt sits on the pole, begins to roll a little bit forward. And the panorama of that giant grandstand behind. 20 of the best there is. Let's take a look at the starting field. The pole winner from yesterday's exciting qualifying session, Dale Earnhardt, the winner of the frantic finish in the Winston of '87, and currently leading in points in quest of his 4th national championship. Davey Allison is to the outside. He prevailed in this year's Bristol 500 by a mere 8 inches, perhaps the closest finish in NASCAR history. The second row on the inside is Darrell Waltrip, who won the inaugural running of the Winston in 1985, taking the checkered flag as his engine blew up. Outside is Mark Martin, his first time as a starter in NASCAR's All-Star race, a 2-time winner on the Major League Stock Car Racing Tour. The third row on the inside is Morgan Shepherd, the only driver this year to finish in the top 10 in each of the 9 Winston Cup events. He replaces the recovering Neil Bonnet. To the outside is Bill Elliott. He won the Winston in 1986 when it made its only appearance at Atlanta International Raceway. The fourth row on the inside is Derek Cope, who gained an invitation to this prestigious event by winning this year's Daytona 500. He did so on the very last lap. To the outside is Alan Kulwicki, the winner of the first NASCAR race held at Phoenix in 1988. He's hoping to become the first owner-driver ever to win this event. And in the fifth row, Kenny Schrader and Lake Speed. The sixth row is Harry Gant and Kyle Petty. Looking back through the remainder of this field, back in the ninth row, Bobby Hillen. Eighth row, Bobby Hillen. Ninth row, Terry Labonte, Phil Parsons, and Jeff Bodine, Dick Trickle make up the 10th and final row. 20 racers here. That's the starting field for the Winston. Bobby Unser talked earlier about the tactics of this thing. Benny Parsons, if you were rolling around behind that pace car right now, like you might be in this car, Bill Elliott's, what might you be thinking? What would you want to do?
How can I get by that fella in front of me? Davey Allison doesn't have anyone in front of him, but he's got a pretty tough car on the inside of him, Dale Earnhardt.
And it's hard to beat Dale even at a start. Dale has a lot of confidence this year, Benny, and he just... the Allison boy, Davey, has got to really go to beat him at the start, and he's going to try hard.
Take a look at Davey Allison. His starting position is the outside of the front row. 50 laps in this first race. $50,000 to the winner, but perhaps even more important is the finishing order becomes the lineup for the second and final run. The car makes that will race here today. As the pace car now rolls down onto the pit road, Dale Earnhardt centers himself on the track and takes a look up at the starter. Doyle Ford with the green flag, and Dale Earnhardt moves out in front, being chased by Waltrip. Allison drops back to third place.
You could tell that Waltrip kind of knew what was going to happen. He knew that Dale was going to get the jump. Hey, he tucked right in behind him. Let Davey slide back just a little ways. It's not going to help him too much at the early part, Paul.
And look at Earnhardt on the backstretch as he begins already to pull away. The rest of the field strings out. Waltrip in second place, Allison in third, Mark Martin in fourth. They come for the line. Earnhardt leads the first lap. Not only is it a big purse and a big day, but In the past, it has been a predictor of things to come. Waltrip, Earnhardt, and Wallace have all won this race and then gone on to take the championship.
You can just see how much confidence that Dale Earnhardt has when he can take off the first lap like that into the first turn and just literally jump off about 5 or 10 car lengths. And somebody as good as Darrell Waltrip, hey, that guy's really got his confidence up.
Waltrip chases down Earnhardt.
But Earnhardt's car, Bobby, moving up in the corners just a little bit, like he might have a push problem or something wrong. Waltrip has gained 2 or 3 car lengths on him. Let's see if he can continue to gain.
Well, we watched that Waltrip last year, Benny. He is double quick at Charlotte. He certainly put on a good show for us last year.
Earnhardt on the backstretch, the black number 3 car. Out in front, he's had one terrific season, and he's turning some pretty quick laps here. Last lap at 164.1 miles an hour. Mark Martin closes up behind Allison. The leader, Earnhardt, ticks off another lap.
Now you can line Earnhardt's car up to the white line, and you can see how much drift he's running through, or how much drift he has in the car as he goes through the turn. Like 1 and 2 turn, doesn't have as much as he does down in 3 and 4 turn. Car gets a little bit further sideways.
No challenges at the front. You're on board with Elliott. As he works his way through turn 3, rides in 5th place right now.
There's Mark Martin on the inside of Davey Allison trying to take that 3rd spot away. As we watch from Bill Elliott's car, Mark on the inside, Davey trying to fight back, but Mark has the spot.
Great view. Bill Elliott bringing you these pictures. You can see the leader Earnhardt as they work their way to the backstretch. We're on board now with Allison, who is lined up right behind Mark Martin.
And one of the things you notice as you peel into the high bank here at Charlotte, Paul, is a driver has to actually look up in the air. And it's very important on these type of tracks to look very far ahead of you, which is raising your eyes up.
On board with 4th place, Davey Allison right now. The leader is Earnhardt. He jumped into the lead from the pole, but it seems, Benny Parson, like everybody's playing it a little cozy, but now here comes Mark Martin down on the inside of Waltrip. Waltrip got a little high coming off of the corner on the backside. Mark Martin pushes alongside Waltrip, got a nose ahead. They go into the corner. Waltrip forges ahead.
Waltrip had a little bit better groove going in, but obviously just before that he'd slipped out a little bit. Tires may not be suiting the track just perfectly as of yet.
Well, Martin's not giving up. They come through the first dog leg. Martin pushes a nose ahead of Waltrip once again. The fight continues. The battle is for 2nd place. Earnhardt is the leader. Waltrip comes way high through 1. Davey Allison closes in and watches the fight. Mark Martin picks up 2nd place on the backstretch. Wallace is pulled out of the competition. They're taking the car back to the garage area. We will keep you updated on this situation. At the front of the field, the black number 3 car, Dale Earnhardt. Chasing him is Mark Martin. Those two are running away from the 3rd place car. That's Bill Elliott.
Boy, you can see Martin, who's just been right up on Earnhardt's bumper, Paul. And what it is, it's the Intimidator getting intimidated by Mark Martin.
Young man who has only 1 victory to his name, Mark Martin.
Dick Trickle started in 20th, moved up to 11th. This is a fight for 4th place. Darrell Waltrip, Benny, has been running a particularly high line and seems to be getting away with it.
He's running awfully high. Davey Allison trying to get by him on the inside, but he's keeping Davey's car bound down there. And look, Derek Cope in the red and white 10 and Alan Kowicki trying to go by Davey Allison.
That's what they call a Richard Petty line. Runs higher than anybody else on the racetrack. Dale is still out in front, but look at the different lines that they have. Now there goes Cope on the outside, or trying to get by Darrell Waltrip.
Fight continues. Battle for 4th place on board. Davey Allison. As they come down through the flat of this circuit, the double dog leg, 1.5 miles around Charlotte. That's Kowicki that's just up alongside. We pointed out that Rusty Wallace pulled his car back to the garage area. Let's get an update from Jack Arute.
Well, he's not at all happy, Rusty. Expired engine.
Yeah, sure did. Real up early, Jackie. I really don't know what caused it. That's real uncommon for this team. The cars always run great and handle great. It was handling good. Just one of those things, man. The luck just keeps happening bad to us this year. I guess we lost a piston or a valve or something. I think it was a piston, but man, it was going to the front. It felt good.
You need a stroke of good luck because you've had none all year. What do you think you can do as a team to turn this season around?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd do it because, I mean, there's nobody pulling harder, any harder for this team than I am. I mean, I'm just, it's eating inside out of me. I'm just working my brains out.
Paul?
Well, another individual with problems, Jeff Bodine, as the number 11 car is in. Remember, they had problems yesterday in that pit stop, and now they come in for 12 seconds in and out. Make some tire changes, Bobby Unser.
That's kind of ironic. He had to have a flat tire to cause that, but that kind of got even, I guess, for that one he didn't make yesterday.
The fight for fourth place. Kulwicki has managed to place himself ahead of Koch, but you can see they are bunched up there. Brett Bodine, by the way, came up from 16th to 9th in the first 5 laps, but then he fell back to 19th, just suddenly going backwards. Fight continues. Let's get an update on Jeff Bodine's situation. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, actually, we've got an update on Brett Bodine, the other half of the brother combination, who's also struggling. His throttle linkage is hung up on the air cleaner. His crew says he's only getting about half throttle. They've fallen to the back of the pack. They're greatly frustrated. Now we'll go check on the problems of Jeff Bodine.
All right, Gary, thanks a lot for that report. We were watching Brett earlier, and he did make a charge up, but then fell backwards. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead.
Very unregular type of a problem, Paul, to have a throttle sticking up on the air cleaner, but so everybody knows the throttle linkage does run very close to the air cleaner.
Earnhardt has completed 18 laps in this first 50-lap run.
Looks like he's having his own way, Paul. Mark Martin made a run on him. It looked like Earnhardt just pressed the accelerator down a little bit more and drove away from Mark Martin. There's a lot of people here this afternoon that was worrying about this happening. Earnhardt driving away from 19 of the best stock cars there is.
Benny, it just might be that Mark Martin realizes that he can't run him down, or there would be no sense in running him down this early on, and he could be trying to save his tires, saying, hey, this 50-lapper is important for the latter part. Look at the smoke coming off the right rear tire of Dale's car there.
Well, he's running it hard. There's no question about that. Again, to show you how seriously they take this race, Benny Parsons, when we first went through the garage area, you saw a lot of new equipment.
A lot of new equipment, new race cars, and also a lot of different engines. This car has an engine he would not run in a 600-mile race. This baby is good for maybe 200, 250 miles. Different camshaft, a little bit more compression. The clearance is a little bit different. A lot of these engines out there are hand grenades waiting to expire.
Bobby Unser, how's an engine builder know how long a motor is going to last when they build it for a shorter segment like the Winston run is?
Well, with the NASCAR racing series, Paul, they run about 35, 38 races a year. These guys really get used to what it's going to do. So what he'll do is he'll loosen the pistons up a few more thousandths, maybe another 3,000, loosen the crankshaft up and maybe 1 or 2 thousandths and things like this, and he won't care if this race is over what happens to the engine. It's just got to finish this race, and that's all.
Things are fairly static behind Dale Earnhardt. Right now it is Mark Martin chasing. Then back a few hundred feet from that is Bill Elliott. Let's get an update from Jack Arute.
Paul, you've talked about the fact that Earnhardt's dominating this race. The only thing he said on the radio to Richard Childress and Kirk Shelmerdine is the car is pushing badly. God forbid he gets that problem cured.
Well, if that's a car with handling problems, I'd hate to see it when it's running right. Jack is absolutely correct. Earnhardt running out in front here, one retirement thus far, and that is Rusty Wallace, the defending champion. Earnhardt running away from the second place car. Mark Martin, Bill Elliott runs in third. Kenny Schrader is moved up to fourth and is battling with Alan Kulwicki. Now Kulwicki moves around and fights with Allison on the backside. Allison comes up alongside Kulwicki.
Kulwicki took that spot away a few laps ago. Now Davey trying to take it back.
Of course, in this first run, Benny Parsons, every position is absolutely worth it. There you see Dick Trickle. Remember, he started back in 20th, and now he's up here battling at the front as well.
Well, he's on the move, Paul. He's really been handling good. We saw in the earlier race, and he looks like he's handling really good now because it just looks like Davey Allison and Kulwicki are just in his way.
Keep a look to the outside of that car, and you can see just an occasional puff of light blue smoke as he works this course hard, burning those tires down and leaning against them as he runs through the corner.
I think Dick Trickle has a tremendous advantage on these fellas because of the 200 miles that he ran a moment ago. His car seems to be handling a little bit better than anybody else this year.
Yeah, but Benny, you got to remember, he's using up a lot of tires because he started in last place, and he's already up to 7th, so he's using up a lot of tires getting there, but it's going to put him in a fairly good position for the 20-lapper coming up.
29 laps of the 50 scheduled complete, and Trickle has moved right up behind Allison. There you see the two cars. That's Kulwicki on the far left of your screen. Then Allison, then Dick Trickle closing in. The leader is still Earnhardt. Bill Elliott has moved up to 2nd place. Mark Martin runs in 3rd. Remember, Jeff Bodine had his problems earlier, came in for a quick stop. We can get an update on that now. Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, all that confidence he had, he made an initial run from 19th, picked up a few positions, but then Junior Johnson tells us that Bodine thought he had a flat tire. He came in, he did not have a flat tire. Sent him back out, but he's long way back now, having lost a lap to the leader. Paul?
He fell well back. He's now doing battle with Harry Gant, but it's a battle at the back of this pack. At the front of the field, Dale Earnhardt, followed by Elliott, then Martin, then Kenny Schrader, Alan Kulwicki. Those are the top 5. And if they would finish this race right now, that's the way they'll line up for the 2nd race, which is a 20-lap sprint to $200,000. A very short interval. As we take a look still at Bodine, continuing to battle side by side with Gant. At the front of the field, here's the leader. He's led right from the start. Dale Earnhardt has a very strong season going, a very strong race going here at the Winston. He is a racer now that the fans absolutely adore. And if you check with him himself, he is born to race. Benny Parsons reports.
That's a good win there, please.
Dale Earnhardt knows all about this kind of hero worship. He did it himself as a kid in Kannapolis, a North Carolina mill town. Dale idolized his favorite race car driver, his father, the late Ralph Earnhardt, a successful dirt track racer and the 1956 NASCAR Sportsman titleist. Ralph Earnhardt laid the groundwork for his oldest son's fame and fortune.
I watched him race so much, Benny. It seemed like when I sat down in a race car, I knew what to do, even though I was a rookie and was green. But still, the things that happened to me, I'd watched Daddy so many times, and I knew what was to expect. And I tore up my share of stuff the first year I raced, but then I started winning right out of the box the next season. So let me tell you what color that first race car was. It was pink.
Dale Earnhardt.
It was pink with an apricot top. So these pink hats and everything everybody's wearing now, man, we had them back when I first started racing.
At age 27, Dale was NASCAR's Rookie of the Year. At age 28, Winston Cup champion. He joined forces with Richard Childress in 1984, and together they proved to be tough to beat.
I want to drive for Richard Childress. He doesn't pay me to drive for him. He pays me to drive, but I want to drive for him. And the same thing right on down the line. Every man there is there because they want to be.
Together, they've toasted one another's success and have known the bitter, choking taste of defeat. This year, one lap away from his first Daytona 500 victory, Dale ran over debris on the track. The tire exploded, as did Earnhardt's chance for the win.
You're going to have a bad day. I don't think you could have a badder day than that, but the first thing that crossed my mind is get back to the line when it was happening, and when it was over, you know, it's getting, okay, now what? You've lost. You know, you've lost. And I came to the pits, and I sat in the car, and I just sat there a little bit, and I, you know, till all the feelings inside of me settled down, where I could decide how I felt, and I put everything away just like it never happened.
A less controlled Dale Earnhardt wouldn't have handled the disappointment with the grace and courage he showed. As much as it hurt, the loss was nothing compared to what he felt when an injured Bobby Allison was forced from his car, or when his friend Neil Bonnet announced he'd be out a year.
If Neil has to retire or quit or whatever, or have to not drive for 5 months, it's going to kill him inside because he loves racing and driving so much. He loves racing. I think that's the way I'll be. Is you know, they'll probably vote me in when I can't get in.
We're back at Charlotte, where they still battle at the front. Dale Earnhardt trying to hold off Bill Elliott. Martin is third, then Kenny Schrader. They are both on the fly and catching the leader. And as we take a look down through the field, Kulwicki in 5th. Look there, Dick Trickle started 20th and is now up running in 6th place. Davey Allison, Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, Bobby Hillen. Rounds off the top 10, half the field here in the Winston. With 6 laps to go, the fight is in the front.
Dale Earnhardt wants to stay in front. Bill Elliott wants to get in front because the inside line, the preferred place to be on that restart. 20 laps to go. You want to be on the inside down in turn 1.
Now, as we watch Earnhardt as he goes around Denny and Paul, he just never makes a mistake. We hear that he's got to push in the car, but just watch it. He just knows exactly where it's going to be all the time. Even though Elliott's catching him, it's not likely that he's going to be able to pass him, at least not very easy.
Bill Parsons just ahead of Earnhardt. Earnhardt comes to the inside as they come to the line. And Elliott gets around as well. They stay in contact in their fight for the lead. Earnhardt really smoking that right rear now with 5 laps to go.
You know, very often, Paul, if the car has a push in it, like we understand that Dale's had, he'll loosen up that right rear just by spinning it, making the smoke a little bit. That'll loosen the car up a little bit.
Earnhart still out in front. He's led every lap. Rusty Wallace out of the competition when his engine let go very early on. Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia, sitting right up behind. Richard Childress in that same position and wondering, boy, can he hang on to it? Remember, they were there at Daytona, and it didn't work out there, but he's had a terrific season since then. 4 laps to go. Earnhardt works his way into the free.
You would think that Bill Elliott would just want to sit there, but no, he wants on the inside on his restart. We see that if Earnhardt's pushing, that may be the right front tire that's smoking as badly as it is.
Could well be. Position winner for the second round. But he's picked up a few bucks, Benny.
He won $50,000 for winning this race, plus $75,000 for winning the pole position yesterday. And he gets $18,000 to start. Already $143,000 if he finishes last in the 20 laps.
All right, now they've got some time, Bobby Unser.
10 minutes, Paul. It's going to be a 10-minute pit stop. Remember, they can't change the springs. They can't change the anti-roll bar, the sway bars. They can't change any major component. They can bump the timing up. They can put little spring spacers in it. Not much more than that.
I told you they'd be standing up. Boy, they are. Great run by Dick Trickle, too. There he comes in. As Trickle was able to go from 20th to 6th, and you can see that his car has seen some action throughout the running of the afternoon.
He has some of Rob Moroso's tire rubber on the right side of his automobile.
Flurry of activities you would expect, Paul Page. Left side rubber being applied. Now Dale Earnhardt sits here. He appears to be calm and nonchalant. How badly was it pushing during that first 50 laps?
Well, it's just a little tight off, especially three and four, and I can drive it through 1 and 2 pretty good. Just want to fine-tune a little bit, get a little better off board, and I think we'll be okay.
How much of a concern was Elliott coming up in your mirror in the late stages?
I really wasn't concerned as long as it didn't get up beside me. So as long as I kept him in the mirror, I was okay.
The man that won it once before. He's been second and third out of the 5 years, Paul. He'll start from the pole. Jack Arute is with the man who finished second in this first segment. Jack?
And Gary, for the next 4 minutes, what he's going to do is think about how he's going to get around Dale Earnhardt. A good run, but not good enough. What are you going to change in the last 20 laps?
Well, the car got off a little bit there at the end, but the car was pretty good there at the very first. And I was able to run them down, and if I can just, Dale's going to be hard to pass no matter what, especially with 20 laps to go. And I feel like if I can ever get in front, the car's good enough to lead, but it just ain't good enough, to stay back behind.
When do you make your move? Do you make it early? Do you try and get the jump on the start, or do you try and feel them out, Bill?
Wait and see.
Crowd again quiet, watching for the moment. Each of them ready to cheer on their own champion.
They're sitting down now, resting. They'll be up in just a second.
As they roll away, it will be 19 cars. One that is missing, of course, is Rusty Wallace, the defending champion in the Winston.
Like a 20-lap trophy match.
Wallace had his engine let go very early in the first 50-lap run. That first race was hot. 162 miles an hour, the average speed. They ran off the 50 laps in 27 minutes and 46 seconds with Bill Elliott chasing Dale Earnhardt right at the end. And in fact, the top 5 cars closing down on Earnhardt, but Earnhardt was able to hold them off. Benny?
The cars start 2 abreast, not single file, but 2 abreast. There's 9 rows and 1 lone car in the rear.
You take a look back through here, the pole sitter has never won the Winston.
That's quite an astounding feat. And you know what? No driver has ever duplicated. He's never won 2 Winstons, only one. Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, both these guys could be duplicate winners if either of those could win.
And your Johnson's won twice as an owner.
I don't think Earnhardt really believes that pole winner's not going to win it because he's really hooked up.
Well, he's had a great year thus far, and certainly a wonderful run in that first race. But he's got some serious talent. As you take a look back from the pace car, there's the Thunderbird Bill Elliott.
Paul, when you come down for the start, Bill Elliott's got to be thinking that his only really good chance of winning this race is not by Earnhardt making a mistake. It's going to be to outdo him at the start. Now, Earnhardt's hard to start with. We saw that last time. So let's see what they do this time.
The advantage that Earnhardt has is he starts the race. He's the leader of the race, and under NASCAR rules, he's the fellow that gets to hit the accelerator first. What Earnhardt will do is come down to the line very, very slow and nail the thing in second gear. He's probably got a real low second gear and try to beat Earnhardt.
They move on to the backstretch now. Bill Elliott to the outside, Earnhardt to the inside. We take a look at the way they line up for this, the second and final race. Earnhardt, Elliott, the front row. Mark Martin and Kenny Schrader make up row number 2. The third row is Alan Kulwicki and Dick Trickle. Davey Allison and Harry Gant are the 4th row. The 5th row is Morgan Shepherd and Bobby Hillett. Ricky Rudd and Lake Speed are in the 6th row. The 7th row, Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte. The 8th row is Phil Parsons and Jeff Bodine. The 9th row, Kyle Petty and Derek Cope. And just Brett Bodine alone because of Rusty Wallace's retirement in the 10th row.
Bobby, how far back do you think somebody can win the race?
Not very far back today because Earnhardt is just too hot. Elliott's obviously very fast, so it's not going to come from back very far unless, Benny, something happens like some form of a bumping or some sort of an accident up in front.
Well, Bobby Unser, I'd like you to remind you of the exploits of Dick Trickle during that run. If he can duplicate that, then he's going to be way out in front. And there are 19 of the best in the sport now working on to the pace lap. It will be 20 laps to go, $200,000 at the end of the road. And this is where the tension begins to get not only to the crowd, but the drivers and crews themselves. As Benny Parsons said back at the start of this run, this is the thing that'll change a personality in a man.
Well, this is what all these people have been here since really early this morning for. This race, this 20 laps, this shootout, the whole works right here.
These 19 guys we're looking at, they're nice guys. They really are nice human beings. But they're not going to be too nice for the next 10 or 15 minutes. They're going to be monsters.
All that rubber you see going up in front of the camera, incidentally, is from the tires. They pick up the old rubber as they go around.
All right, the pace car maneuvers toward 3 as Earnhardt, just as suggested, begins to lapse back just a bit. He wants to set his very own pace as they come to the green flag. He wants his engine right at the top of a gear, doesn't he, Benny? So he can nail the throttle and slam forward.
Exactly. See, he's going to lay back behind Bill. Bill, you need to get back behind because all of a sudden he's going to drive by. See, there he goes.
Green flag comes out as Earnhardt pulls away, and Trickle gives Schrader a little help going into the first corner, and Mark Martin moves up into second place as Elliott fades. 20 laps, a run for $200,000.
Elliott went clear back to sixth place, Paul. He just tried out to Earnhardt on the start, but Earnhardt knew exactly what he was going to do.
Boy, he lost that battle of wits as Earnhardt now in the third corner. Heading for 4, Mark Martin right in behind him, then Kulwicki, then Schrader. Across the stripe, Earnhardt continues his dominant position.
Look, Mark Martin tried to go on the outside of Earnhardt. You know, Martin, earlier in the race, the 50-lap segment was very good those first few laps. I think his car's going to be good the first few laps here as well.
Well, Martin seems satisfied that what changes they were able to make during the interlude might have helped. Elliott now comes up to challenge Schrader as the leader is still Earnhardt.
Remember now, all these guys were able to adjust their cars just a little bit, Paul. But Elliott having the problem to start, it's really mixed it up right behind there. So guys are really going to put the pressure on Earnhardt.
2 laps are complete. The 20-lap dash for the cash. On the backstretch now, it is still Earnhardt. Bill Elliott tries to battle his way through. Dick Trickle is lined up in 6th place behind Elliott. Earnhardt leads them again. Off of the 4th corner, down through the double dog leg and across the line.
He's actually pulling away just a little bit from Mark Martin. Not 2 car lengths that lap, Paul.
A run that will change the personality as everyone is battling for major prestige and big dollars. But Earnhardt is holding the lead position, chased by Martin.
Bill Elliott closes right in on the back bumper of Ken Schrader. Schrader's on the inside of Kulwicki. Caution flag is out.
Yellow flag comes out here. The laps under yellow will not count. They'll have to come around and pick up the pace car. The laps under yellow will not count. As Martin made a strong charge on Earnhardt as they came to the line. So they want to make sure that this course is perfectly clean. They're sending the crews out because apparently NASCAR has noted some oil dropped on the track. And when you have this much on the line, they don't want to take any chances at all. So Dale Earnhardt leads the field around under yellow. 4 laps are complete, and the yellow flag laps do not count. Let's go to Jack Arute.
I'm with Mike Beam, who calls the shots in the Elliott Coors Melling Pit. Mike, what happened on that start? What did Bill say?
Well, I think he got snipped there a little bit, but, you know, he's been complaining about not taking off, you know, on a restart. You know, he got way low on RPMs and, you know, just didn't take off. But the tower up there, they hollered down here to tell him not to make sure he jumped. And when I said that, you know, I'm sure he didn't want to jump, you know, and so he eased up and Earnhardt took off. So, you know, it's the same old bull, you know what I mean? It's the kind of year we're having. What are you going to do?
They have not had a good year, and they were hoping to turn it around here in the Winston, and he's going to have his hands full now this afternoon to get back up and challenge for the lead. Paul?
Well, the safety crews are working down in between the first and second turn, down low in the groove, trying to clean the track up. None of the yellow flag laps count. Only 4 laps are complete.
You know, we saw Dale Earnhardt get the best of Bill Elliott on that start. But, Paul, he can't do that to Mark Martin, who's in second spot, because it is a single file start. And Mark Martin, as soon as he sees that 3-car jump, he's going to jump as well.
Penny, the rhythm coming back to any restart is absolutely critical. You begin thinking about it almost a full lap ahead, don't you?
Mark Martin right now is thinking, how can I stay on the back bumper of that black 3?
And you know what he's going to try to do if he has any choice? He's going to lay back just about a car length and try to be able to get into that carburetor just a tick before Dale does and get a run at him.
They'll work another lap under the yellow. Gary Gerald is in Mark Martin's pit.
Well, Paul, Jack Roush owns, of course, the team. That was a terrific start for you and your club. Now, what kind of changes did you make, and does this yellow work at all to your advantage or disadvantage?
Well, the yellow doesn't work to our advantage because we believe that our car will be best for the longest possible, fastest possible pace. Mark had a great start that time. We talked about that. Earnhardt can be counted on to start early, so we planned to go early, and we went with him. That worked out really great.
Any butterflies, Jack?
A little bit. We've never really had a chance to race where we could say, well, if you hurt your car or if you didn't finish, that it wouldn't hurt the point situation. So this is fun to just be able to throw it all in the air and go for it. That's what we're doing.
All right, let's go to Jackaroo.
And Gary, I'm with Richard Childress, the car owner with Dale Earnhardt's car. Did he maybe show his hand on that one start? Does he have anything left that he can do now to Mark Martin?
Well, he just said the chassis was better now than it was a while ago. We're a little too tight. We just have to see. These cars really changed a lot after 10, 12 laps of the time.
Hey, you're an old race driver. You kind of liked that start, though, didn't you?
Yeah, that was one of those, you learn on dirt tracks and stuff.
Paul, let's take it back upstairs where we can take a look at that restart.
Well, they talk about how good Earnhardt came back. He dropped back. Benny Parsons noted that he was doing that. He got himself exactly where he wanted in the RPMs and the gearing, while at the same time, Elliott was just in exactly the wrong place, and that was what the start of this run looked like 4 green flag laps ago. We are still under yellow as they continue to try to clean up the track between turn 1 and 2. By the way, NASCAR today announced that they're going to make the restrictor plate a little bit smaller yet for Daytona and Talladega. They're taking it down another 30 seconds to 29 30 seconds. And Benny, they think that that's going to take about 27 horsepower away, maybe 3 or 4 miles an hour.
Probably 3 or 4 miles an hour. Last race at Talladega, the cars ran a little bit over 200 miles an hour. NASCAR said that's too fast. We want to race at Daytona and Talladega somewhere in the 190 to 95 mile an hour speed.
No restrictor plates here, racing at Charlotte. A tremendous week of activities here. One of the best promoters in the business, Humpy Wheeler, Smith. Boy, they do a marvelous job.
Just a beautiful racetrack all the way around. Grandstands are beautiful, a lot of people, good parking areas.
There you're taking a look from the Speedway Club. A little lunch while you watch the running of the Winston.
I hope that isn't live. I hope those guys are not eating while this is going on, because we only got 16 laps to go, Paul.
Eddie, we're expecting you to buy us dinner down there. $200,000 on the line. Maybe we can get the winner of this to buy for us. And it is Earnhardt that will lead the field down. The pace car already rolling onto the pit road. And again, Earnhardt picks his pace with Mark Martin lined up just behind. Doyle Ford gives him the green flag.
Nice even start.
And a good move by Elliott as he drops under the inside of Kowicki. You're on board with Elliott right now. Earnhardt maintains the lead going to the backside. Elliott runs in 4th place.
And Bill Elliott wants to get to the front. He knows he looked a little bit silly on that start. He wants to get to the front and see if he can make it up just a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a little make up for it. That's Kenny Schrader just in front of him, running in 3rd place. Martin closes down. 5 laps are now in the record book. 15 to go.
They cool their tires down during that yellow.
Kenny Schrader makes a move on the inside of Martin. Schrader comes up to the inside and takes over a second for the moment. Elliott sitting right there behind. Earnhardt still the leader. Mark Martin stays on the high side. Dick Trickle comes in right behind the number 9 car of Elliott. Oh, we've got a race on our hands here at Charlotte. Continues to challenge Mark Martin.
But Martin's trying to fight back. He's still on the outside, trying desperately to hold on to that 2nd spot. Elliott now on the outside.
Tires are nice and cool right now, Benny. They can go side by side like that, not burn their tires off. Tires are working really good, so the racing is better.
Boy, look at him fight as Earnhardt continues to lead, and Schrader now takes over 2nd place. That's Trickle down on the inside of Kowicki as he now begins to challenge alongside of Elliott. Across the line again, 7 laps are complete, 20 laps scheduled. $200,000 to the winner. Earnhardt is out in front.
All that racing right in the back there, and all those guys running side by side, just gave Earnhardt about 4 more car lengths, Paul. Just what he wanted.
Thus far, every lap of the Winston has been led by Dale Earnhardt. And the fight is for third place. Good fight for fifth as well. There's Trickle trying Kulwicki again. But all of this battling is giving the advantage to Earnhardt as he inches away from second place. Kenny Schrader. Trickle still battling with Kulwicki.
Davey Allison trying to follow Dick Trickle by, but Alan Kulwicki keeps fighting back. Back to the lead. Dale Earnhardt, the black tree, the leader. Ken Schrader. There's back to Alan Kulwicki, Dick Trickle, and Davey Allison.
That fight is for fifth place. Kulwicki has it right now. As the back end comes a little unglued on Trickle's car, Allison comes in.
And Hank Ant brings the 33 into the battle as well.
Allison's driving right by Trickle on the outside for a while there, and a hard place to pass.
A contrast of lines here as Trickle's back end comes loose again. Boy, he's running that car loose.
They're running absolutely as hard as they possibly can. Everyone out there.
Benny, at this point, we'd be talking entirely different setup than if they were going to run next week in the 600.
Oh, these cars, if they use these cars, if they use the engine up, who cares? Next week, that's a year down the road.
And at the halfway point, 10 laps to go.
Now, like in 20 laps, Paul, it's really hard for them to hurt the tires, so they're going to abuse these tires as hard as they can. And if they get a little bit of smoke coming off of them, hey, that's not going to bother them a bit.
We're past the halfway. The annual running of the Winston. This is the second and final segment. Trickle is 7th. Kenny Schrader closes up on Earnhardt. 11 laps complete, 9 laps to go.
This white and green car, the 25 car, won the 500-mile race here last fall. There we see Richard Childress watching intently. He knows that Schrader is a car to be reckoned with.
And Schrader is right there. Mark Martin runs in third.
Kenny Schrader, very, very versatile driver. Runs dirt tracks, midgets, chip cars. Dirt cars, just everything that there is. Stock cars, the newest thing to it. He really moved things.
8 laps to go. Earnhardt has led every lap thus far. Can he hold on for the remaining 8? Schrader is right there to contest it. You ride with Elliott, who is in fourth, right behind Mark Martin. Let's not forget that luck is a critical factor in racing. Don't forget the Daytona 500. Boy, that's where Dale was going to the last lap.
I was thinking the same thing because there is 7 laps to go.
You just watch the steering wheel in Dale's car. He's very smooth. Left the car on the racetrack where it should be.
Earnhardt had his problems with his car during the first segment. Said the car was pushing. They made what changes they were allowed. And now hope that it's handling just a little bit better. On board with Elliott, fourth place, just ahead Martin, then Schrader, then Earnhardt. They're that close together. Bill Elliott, the number 9 Ford.
Schrader wants to get up there so bad.
Earnhardt's driving the tires off of that car, though. You can see puffs of smoke every time he comes around. We continue to watch at the front. That's what matters with 5 laps to go.
And he doesn't seem to be able to pull it.
It stays the same.
Elliott closes up on Martin just a little bit. You see the smoke there on Earnhardt's car. They're all driving for all they're worth.
Remember, these cars are all of what we call qualifying trim. Nothing left as far as speed.
Boy, look at the smoke pour off of that right rear. These things are trimmed down. You're right, Bobby. It's like a jet fighter. Very temperamental, very sensitive. You got to drive these with your fingertips at this point.
Looks like Earnhardt is pulled away by a car length or so. And right now, that's an eternity. One car length is an eternity. Look at all the smoke off Earnhardt's. He's the only car that's smoking those tires that badly.
Will those tires last, Benny?
Well, I think they'll last. Sure, they'll last.
Just doesn't seem to be able to move up. Earnhardt definitely has a slight edge. Look at that smoke come up. All the way through the turn, the right rear smoking on Earnhardt.
Off of number 4, the white flag, the final lap. As we watch Earnhardt try to hold off Schrader. Let's watch. Decision is at hand, but he's not close enough. Earnhardt sees the checkered flag and takes the $200,000. He's led every lap. What a terrific run for Earnhardt as Earnhardt wins the Winston. And with that victory, Earnhardt has now earned over $750,000 just this year alone.
Really got their operation together. One fast team.
Boy, look at that crowd. They loved it. What smooth driving. They call him the Dominator. Well, there's why.
Earnhardt, the first time anyone has won the Winston twice, Dale Earnhardt does it. The first time that anyone has won the race from the pole, Dale Earnhardt does it.
Afternoon worth $325,000 for Earnhardt. Also the first time anyone has led flag to flag in now the 6 runnings of the Winston. And boy, he's a happy man. 1986, Bill Elliott led all but the last lap. Earnhardt today goes all the way and picks up the win. The star of NASCAR's All-Star, Dale Earnhardt, will return with more of ABC Sports coverage of Oldsmobile Presents the Winston after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Look out.
Yeah. Good job. All right. Sam, get us a number 1. We're in commercial. Just how you talk. There you go. Y'all get along? No way to tell you right, wasn't it? Number 1, Dale. Number 1. Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt, you were the first 2-timer. Congratulations.
It feels good. Feels better than the first one, really. The old car was so dominant. Jim Goodrich and Richard Childers and all the guys, they did such a good job with the car. It's the car I won Darlington with, so we've tested her out. It's a good race car. Really feel good about it. Thank the good Lord for a good, safe race. It was a good race for us. Fans might not like all the excitement wasn't there, but it was exciting for me.
Hey, tell me about the start. You really snookered the entire field, especially Elliott.
Well, it was time to go. He had led out there like he wanted to have a lead on us when we restarted, and I waited till it was time and went.
They call him the man in black. They call him the intimidator. You are really having one whale of a season. This momentum, a win like this, does that carry on into next week and maybe all the way to a Winston Cup championship?
I guarantee it does. We've been pumped up since Daytona, even though we had that bad luck. But these guys are working hard, and we want to win. I just like to, thank the good Lord. The family did great. I'm happy as I can be. This is one of the most happiest victory lanes I've ever been in.
Paul, let's go back to you.
Well, 3 times in the past, the winner at the Winston goes on to take the championship. Take a look at this for some money. $325,000 to Earnhardt. Schrader with with 82,000, 62,005 from Mark Martin. We'll be back with an update from the Indianapolis 500.